Alright, switchboard's off, I'll just voltage test to be safe. Oh! Howdy. It is so good to be back. This video is dedicated to my Patreon bosses who decided the lights aren't going off on this channel. And they allowed me to keep doing the job I love, chatting with you here on this channel. Speaking of which, let's chat about Halloween treats. When it comes to Halloween candies, we'll look at the weirdest of the weird and the worst of the worst. Would you try a wine-flavored Kit Kat? How about a potato-flavored Kit Kat? How about a soap-flavored gum? And if you think those are weird, you are not going to believe my weirdest choice of all. These are the weirdest and worst candies you might give or receive on this spooky evening. On a side note, I've tried to avoid just the plain gross-out candies as I don't find them very interesting or pleasant to look at for that matter. Instead, I've focused on the more strange, creative, and unpredictable candies. With that said, let's begin. Let's start with the weird wine-flavored Kit Kat. Oh, Japan, normality is just not on your radar, is it? Is it appropriate to put these in a kid's Halloween sack? Well, there's no alcohol in them, so they should be fine. And Japan markets these Kit Kats specifically in the holiday season. Apparently, the Kit Kat's white chocolate coating tastes like bubbling white wine, with a hint of strawberry in the wafers. But how would someone describe the taste of this confusing white chocolate wafer? Well, Candy Addict tried them out and he was pleasantly surprised.
It didn't taste like wine to me. It has a super creamy, slightly strawberry-ish flavour, but a little too sweet.
Actually, Kit Kat's got so many weird flavours they're coming out their ears. They've got Tokyo banana flavour, double matcha flavour, sugar buttertree, and what even is a heartful bear Kit Kat?
What is wrong with you people?
And for our worst, we have double bubble. Imagine having a candy that was not only incredibly disappointing in taste, but also gave you a disappointing, unfunny comic. It's like getting punched in the face, then the attacker tells you have a stupid haircut. Well, let's start by looking at this taste. Whoop, we found the problem. Double Bubble was made by Tootsie, the company responsible for Tootsie Rolls. And as many Halloween fans will attest, Tootsie Rolls are not known for their good flavor. And therein lies the main problem for many with Double Bubble: no flavor. According to the taste test of Brian Francis,
The flavour doesn't last. I timed my piece and the flavour faded at exactly 3 minutes and 31 seconds. I can also report that if you go to bed with gum in your mouth, good luck getting it out of your hair in the morning.
So these comics, apparently they're a relic of the original 1928 Double Bubble, according to the website.
Be prepared to enjoy fun comics on every piece of gum.
I get the feeling the term fun is going to be used very, very broadly here. Like the kind of comic that's only funny to people born before the year 1900. Oh, this poor dedicated fellow collected all 60 of these abysmal comics. Let's acknowledge that hard work and read a couple.
Did you forget to do your report? What are you gonna do?
Good morning, Mrs. Smith. No, not funny. What about this one?
Is that you, Pud?
Don't worry, I'm just playing a bad boy for the girls. I mean, were these comics even funny 100 years ago? Anyway, and for this weird choice, we have candy corn M&Ms. Can M&Ms make the most reviled candy taste at least mediocre and not like chewing stale cake batter?
I don't know.
These M&Ms are made with white chocolate and quote-unquote candy corn flavor. And I love how sure this description is of itself. They confidently state,
Everyone is sure to be delighted by this iconic Halloween M&M's flavour.
see, if I was a kid trick-or-treating and I saw candy corn, I'd ask for an apple instead. As for the taste, well, the channel Tammy Dunn tried these. I remember them also trying the McDonald's cake in an earlier vid I did. Let's see what they thought.
Tastes like a white chocolate with a little bit of candy corn flavor.
Seems like they like them. I suspect this is partially because the M&M's candy corn flavor is more subtle rather than the fist-to-the-face sugar hit candy corn normally gives. And the mouthfeel is that of an M&M, which is much more pleasing than the waxy texture of a candy corn. So yes, our taste testers actually claimed something with the word candy corn in it was good. And then of course there was Nerds candy corn flavor. While we're on the subject, we have to find out the taste of these ones, because the idea of Nerds and candy corn combined makes zero sense to me. Unlike the M&Ms, the Nerds seem to be the original candy corn shape. Apparently it has a hard candy shell outside with a soft and chewy inside. All City Candy tried it out.
Like very distinct flavor. It cuts through.
This young lady said the flavor was very strong and distinct. She didn't really taste the candy shell, but just the soft chewy inside. Interestingly though, she didn't find this candy corn Nerd tasted anything like, candy corn. Which is a relief for people like me who don't like candy corn, but I imagine it's a bit of a bummer for actual candy corn fans. When Ozzy Megia tried them, he said up front,
This can't end well. I want to file this under the category of things that should not be.
The soft chewy texture was mainly what stood out, as the candy corn flavor just wasn't distinct for him either. It seems in this case, you're better off sticking to the sweet tangy flavor of regular Nerds. And for our next worst, we have the Heath Bar. There's few better ways to disappoint a kid on Halloween than handing them a Heath Bar, because with that Heath Bar comes a heathenistic reputation.
Stop it.
This candy bar strays a little bit from your standard expectations, with the bar actually being made of toffee with a slight chocolate coating. But according to reviews from Candy is Dandy, the chocolate on it doesn't really taste like anything, and it feels brittle, tasting more like cornflakes. And it has way more toffee than chocolate. Toffee was originally made around 1825, but as more a relic of the times, it hasn't stood the test of time nearly as well as chocolate has. There's occasional fans, but if you want to really get the kids smiling in delight, I'd say you're better off buying peanut M&Ms or Reese's peanut butter cups. Americans really like their peanut butter and chocolate, though the Heath Bar may be an effective way to get the kids not to come to your house again. Our next weird choice is the Potato Kit Kat. Japan, why would you make a potato Kit Kat?
It's Sweet Potato Kit Kat.
Oh, because that makes it so much better, doesn't it? They're clearly made for the Halloween season too, as the packet depicts a ghost flying through the air carrying a potato. And the ghost has horns and a cape, so yeah, it's Halloween. They even call it the Halloween break. And I'm sorry, but how does sweet potato have anything to do with Halloween?
Because in Japan, sweet potatoes are traditionally a fall food and often sold at fall festivals. Sweet potato is kind of like the USA's pumpkin spice.
Oh, guess that makes sense. Either way, we've got to know how these ones taste. Oh, come on. According to Amazon, they're close to a 5-star flavor. This I've gotta see.
They have a kind of buttery, nutty taste to them, like a roasted chestnut, with a toasted marshmallow aftertaste. They're really nice.
And it's not even the first time Japan stuffed potato and chocolate together. In 2016, McDonald's gave Japan chocolate-covered fries. Oh, that we've gotta talk about sometime. Our next worst choices are Twizzlers. Now, Twizzlers have a tiny, tiny selection of fans, I think. But this isn't the type of candy you'll buy. It's the type of candy you get when you've not got quite enough arcade tickets for the chocolate. But it's not like you're ever coming back here, and damn it, you're redeeming those 30 tickets. Brian Francis had a very vivid description of the experience of eating one.
Twizzlers are like chewing strawberry-flavored extension cords.
And I have to agree. Not that I've ever chewed an extension cord, but you know what I mean. Something I remember strongly about Twizzlers is that horrible mouthfeel. How a food feels in your mouth is almost as important as the taste itself. And that wiry, rough Twizzler feel is just not a pleasant experience. But what about the taste? Well, I actually don't mind the taste, because I'm among the few who actually likes the taste of licorice. But in my community, Season Evergreen described it the way that I suspect most people feel about it.
I don't like Twizzlers, mainly because they have the consistency of candle wax with a slight strawberry flavouring.
Our next weird choice is pickle cotton candy. Yeah, I know you're not exactly going to give this one out on Halloween, but how could I just ignore this green-hued concoction? And that is a dirty trick to promise a child cotton candy and make it pickle flavored. But according to the website Fairy Tale Cotton Candy,
as our #1 bestseller, this treat is a pretty big deal.
It's the union of two flavors no one ever asked for. How do they put the amazing taste of pickle into something it clearly doesn't belong in? I don't know. But they define the taste as a tart, tangy, mouth-puckering feel, which honestly sounds terrible. But for a while, the pickle cotton candy was really trending on TikTok, so I guess a lot of people saw it and bought it to try out for themselves. And I mean, I'm talking about it here on YouTube, so I guess I'm part of the problem. And oh my goodness, there's spicy pickle cotton candy flavor too, because pickle flavor was just too normal. Let's see what the reviews say.
It had just the right amount of spice.
Who wants spice in sugary fairy flavor? Let's see a slightly less biased website for reviews. What about Reddit?
It's gross. It's like the tart vinegar flavour of dill pickle with the sweetness of cotton candy.
Finally, someone else thinks green pickle fairy floss is gross. I thought I was starting to go mad. Our next worst choice is pumpkin pie M&Ms. I saw these and I had to show you, because even on the main M&M's website, they could barely manage a 2-star rating. So clearly, they're not a favourite among trick-or-treaters. Let's read some of the reviews.
Pumpkin pie is one of my favourite tastes in the world. But the more I ate, the less they tasted like pumpkin. Where was the pumpkin flavour? Nope. Total disappointment. Crying face.
And that was a good review. That was 3 stars. What about the numerous 1-star reviews? What did they say?
Absolutely terrible. No taste.
Very to the point.
Note for me, my favourite time of the year is when all the pumpkin flavours get brought out to the shelves. But to say I was disappointed with these is an understatement. The pumpkin spice just didn't hit like they should. Never again.
Oh, I love these reviews. Just one more.
Gross. It has a weird, unpleasant taste. I ate one and will never eat another again.
Okay, sorry, I had my fun. Let's move on. Our next weird choice is definitely Thrill's soap-flavoured gum. Yeah, you heard me right, soap-flavoured gum. This one's mostly found in my other home country, Canada. Okay, first problem. This doesn't even look like bubble gum. It looks like a blackcurrant flavoured laxative pack. And I love how the packet advertises it still tastes like soap, as if that's something to be immensely proud of. When I was a young fella, I once mistook soap for a candy. And I bit it. To say that soap tasted terrible would be an understatement, because I still distinctively remember that bitter taste 30 years later. So why in Jeebus name would anyone want a candy that tastes like soap? Well, apparently a lot of people do. Because when I looked up the taste, a lot of Canadian Reddit users said they love them. But how do they actually taste? Let's ask Pretzel. He sounds like a trustworthy individual.
It's got a soapy taste, but it's slightly sweet. It's a bit like elderberry, with a perfumey or aromatic smell, not unlike a freshly lathered bar of soap.
Yuck.
Yeah, I know. People have weird taste. Our next weird choice is Bean Boozled. The Bean Boozled catchphrases are dare to compare and are you brave enough? Because this is a treat that the Jelly Belly Wiki labels a Russian roulette type of jelly bean packet. Because Bean Boozled comes with a spinner wheel to decide what color you sample. The same color could be a great tasting flavor or a abysmal gack-inducing flavor. For example, the peach flavor is the same color as the barf flavor. Goody. So what are some of these oh so appetizing flavors you can stumble upon without warning?
There's toothpaste flavour, wet dog flavour, rotten egg, dead fish, dirty dishwater, skunk spray, mouldy cheese, stinky socks, lawn clippings, or pencil shavings.
I mean, when toothpaste and lawn clippings sound like the most delicious things on your menu, there's definitely a problem with your candy. Our next weird choice is meatball bubblegum. Well, I bet you couldn't have predicted this as the next candy I'd mention, because who in their right mind would put these two foods together? Now obviously, this gum will not leave your breath minty fresh. Maybe it'll leave it meaty fresh?
Get some help.
Though I don't know if you should show up to your job interview smelling like meat. Unfortunately, according to Candy Hero, the candy has been discontinued. Tragic, I know. I can't even fully tell what they are. Are they meatballs flavored like bubblegum, or are they bubblegum flavored meatballs? Either combination sounds appalling. Also, they're meant to be Italian flavor, but we can see on the packet they're made in China for a Seattle company. But I mean, that's not a huge surprise, because what Italian meatball manufacturer would possibly be insane enough to de-sanctify their country's local cuisine like this? As for the taste, according to Lucky Penny, the texture is quite hard like gum. There's a sugary flavor to them and it chews like regular bubblegum. It seems it mostly just looks like a meatball. But braver than me for trying them at all, good sir. And while we're on the subject of Oreo, let's talk about the Sour Patch Kid Oreos. These combinations, man. Oreo was up all night drinking coffee again, weren't they? I was originally going to put this intensely outrageous flavor mashup in the worst category, as according to Last Commander on my Discord.
This is easily the worst dessert I've ever had. These Oreos tasted like bad orange juice. I couldn't even finish the one cookie, it was that bad.
But when I looked around on the web, I actually found a lot of fans of this flavor, like on Reddit. The channel The Endorsement also taste tested this one, in his car of course, and I couldn't help but notice he started coughing up a lung after trying them.
I rise to the top, I never eat a big.
Then he started freestyle rapping about the cream and that
The cream is where it's at. The cream of the crop. You try to play me out like as if my name was Sega, but I ain't going.
honestly, this silliness is part of what I love about these car taste tests. They're so unabashedly their own authentic personalities without restraints, you know? It reminds me more of 2010 YouTube when profiteering wasn't such an issue on the website. Anyway, I personally couldn't quite understand what he was saying in his freestyle taste test, so I checked Tammy and Kevin's taste tests again, because they seem to have tried every food on the planet. When they opened the Sour Patch Oreos, Tammy loved the smell and Kevin says he liked the taste, saying it has little sugar crystals through it, and it reminded him of Sour Patch Kids, which is always a good thing, and Reddit was full of fans of this bizarre combination.
I would describe them as fruity and sweet, but a little tart. Not sour, but like how some fruit pies are tart. It tasted like a push pop. It's like they added Sour Patch flavour to the cream for golden Oreos.
Well, they're all yours, Reddit. On the occasions I do enjoy an Oreo, I'll stick with original flavor. Next are 3 worst choices that are notorious dishonorable mentions. These 3 I've already discussed in Most Hated Candy, so I left them off the list, but they're at least worth briefly mentioning for their notoriety. Let's start with the Tootsie Roll. On Halloween, few people like these dumped in their sack or bucket. It honestly makes me wonder, with how fondly remembered Tootsie Pops are, how can you replace one word and it suddenly becomes such a reviled candy? It looks like chocolate and it seems to want to be chocolate, yet it is most certainly not chocolate. It's more like brown flavored. The texture is more of a hard caramel taffy. I noticed on Reddit a lot of people reported liking the fruit flavor Tootsie Roll, but the original? Well, this is how they put it.
I would never buy Tootsie Rolls in a store, but I like one at my insurance agent's office or my 81-year-old mum's hearing aid store. New batteries in a Tootsie Roll, please.
So basically, people don't want to buy them, but they like them if absolutely nothing else is available. I don't know, that's not the best praise I've heard for candy. Then of course, there's circus peanuts. There's not much variation. Opinions are mostly pretty consistent about circus peanuts. They're far worse than a regular peanut, so I'll take a regular peanut any day. And neither human nor elephant is likely to touch them without a 10-foot pole. Some people even consider them the worst readily available candy in the United States.
Circus peanuts. The most disgusting of all the candies.
While a rare few people on Reddit actually like them. Well, 15 people do anyway. But if you're a foreigner to the USA like me, or you've just never dared to try one, you might be wondering how they taste. I'm wondering if they have the texture of peanuts or not. Nope, no such luck. According to Sports, they have that classic artificial banana taste. But somehow they're even more sweet, and when you bite into one they have a billowy marshmallow consistency. I like how Google described them as foamy bananas, but I think comparing them to the most popular food at Walmart is doing bananas a severe disservice. In my community, Lida had a similar reaction to them.
There's something about their foam consistency that I don't like it, but my boomer parents won't hesitate to eat them.
The website Eater backed this up by saying they're more popular with the older generations, back when they were popular in the days of penny candies, so that might explain better why you can still find them on Halloween. They're a bit of a nostalgia trip for the older generation that grew up with them.
And I get that. I still think the 1987 Ninja Turtles song is like the best song ever.
And thirdly, of course, candy corn. Some people describe candy corn as sweet cake batter, with notes of vanilla, marshmallow, and honey. But it has an overpowering sweetness that's like a punch to the face for many people. Plus then there's that waxy, crumbly texture. Not many people are fans of that. Personally, I can't stand foods with a waxy texture. Ugh. I think Theobromia described it succinctly on Reddit.
It tastes like solidified waxy corn syrup with a burning sweetness and a honey aftertaste. If you try them, I recommend buying the smallest possible package.
Food flavor specialist Mary Wright explained why these Halloween candies are so polarizing on the Today Show.
I think most households throw away more candy corn than they consume, but it's a very emotional candy, since it often evokes strong memories of autumn and Halloween. The taste of candy corn is an important iconic memory of many people's childhoods.
Definitely one of those cases where I say, if others enjoy it, let them enjoy some good memories and nostalgia. And finally, let's check out the weirdest of the weird, the hematogen candy. Oh, you want weird? I'll give you weird. This Russian chocolate bar has a special ingredient to help people with iron deficiency. Can you guess? That's right, cow blood. Now I know what you're thinking.
Yuck, that sounds terrible.
I think I'll pass on that.
Well, hear me out. Many people enjoy steak and sausages a whole lot, and they have cow blood in them. I personally have kangaroo mince and kangaroo sausages in my dinner all the time, and that has roux blood in it. And these foods are all really good for improving your iron intake. And part of this is because they contain animal blood, which contains iron. And according to studies from the American Society of Hematology, over a quarter of humans have iron deficiency. And as I'm one of those people with an iron deficiency and I take iron supplements, this hematogen chocolate seems like a convenient, fun, tasty way to increase your iron intake. Yes, I personally don't want one, but reviews on Amazon indicate some very satisfied customers. According to Mary,
they taste like fudgy chocolate bars. You'd never know they were a supplement.
And S.E. Mayer brought up a really good point which I hadn't even considered.
Many women become anemic a few days each month. Iron supplements upset my stomach, but these are so good. It's a great boost of iron without the gastric upset.
I suppose chocolate already contains cow milk, so why not also cow meat?
Because I don't normally mush together my chocolate and steak.
Well, either way, how did this cow meat chocolate even come about? Well, in Russia, Maria says her mum would often bring back these chocolate blood bars back from the pharmacy. Her mum would call them a wholesome and healthy treat. And given how prevalent iron deficiency is among kids, there's some truth to that. In fact, the World Health Organization found that anemia affects nearly 40% of young children. So it's basically the old-timey Soviet equivalent to those Vita gummies you find at the store. The channel Emmy made try these out for herself. She pointed out that this blood iron is more readily absorbed to the body than iron supplements. And when she tried it, she couldn't smell any blood. It smelled sweet. And it braked very similarly to regular chocolate. When she tasted it, she found it had a slightly dry, gritty texture, but it was very sweet like fudge.
I'm really surprised by how sweet that is, and I could see how that would appeal to children.
She certainly didn't report on a taste of blood. And before you ask how she knows what blood tastes like, have you ever bitten your tongue? Then you know what blood tastes like. But she did find there was a slightly metallic aftertaste. So this Halloween, if you're going to give out hematogen bars, you may actually be doing a public service by giving children a treat that increases their iron intake. And judging by the reviews, they're in for a sweet fudgy treat. And let me know if you've got any weird or terrible Halloween candies that I missed. Or maybe you have your own take on this bizarre trick-or-treat fodder. On a side note, it is a relief and privilege to be back thanks to my Patreon bosses. And now, I'm safely able to do the job I love again. I can't tell you after 10 years how much of a weight and fear has been taken out of my shoulders on here. And I'll always be grateful to my new bosses for that. Thank you so much. And thanks for watching, and whether I see you next time or not, I will most certainly be back. Count on it. As well as an extra thanks to my bosses you see here. A thanks as well to these bosses in my shoutout tier. People including FCL, Panda Bear, I love pandas too, Meghan Bruns, Pro Voice Actor 1 Dubs, 2006 Honda Accord, very pretty car, Chandler Amethyst, Ocean Survival, Chris Schoff, Jordan McCann, love my anime, thanks for all the lovely comments by the way, Chris Mendez, Jacob Snyder, Asher Gatchabasta, Killian N. Arthur Joint, Forrest Chandler, The Goober, Are You Goofy? Matthew Kirkland, Fluff Paws, Miss Arceus, who's also been a member in the past, Shockwave FPS Studios, Noel Schornhorst, Destiny and Zachary, Alec and Catherine Parkinson, who I've gotten to know well in Patreon chat, Cookie Monster, The Furry of Fury, Schizo, Shaw, Sinnoh Shroob, wonder if that's a reference to Pokemon, Alex Inza, 3 Cat Day, Nim would love your name, Angel Angeline, John Rogers, thanks by the way for helping maintain the McDonald's wiki, you've brought us a lot of fun in these videos, Thomas Fernando, who if I remember right has also previously been a member, Matthew Forrest, Noah the Keller, and Procrastinators, very cool name. And a happy birthday to my Patreon boss Carolyn. I hope you have a lovely day and you treat yourself to something nice. And holy cow, my boss's names are still going. I wish I could individually high-five every person who has helped me, because they changed my life in the span of one day. It was a cosmic anomaly and it happened. I can't wait to show you my videos in the future.
Why isn't it bouncing? Now it's bouncing.
Uh-oh, do I have bad breath?
Just a little.
Check it out. I grabbed my grandpa's beard tonic.
I bet it totally doesn't work.
Haha, it's funny because I have beard.
Sleep tight, Pud. Don't let the bed bugs bite.
Bed bugs. Ha! You hear that, Pep? Bed bugs. Ha! It's funny because there's a big bug in his bed. Come one, come all. Try and escape the greatest glove in baseball. Ah! Why is that even funny?
It's not.
It's not.
It's stupid.
It's dumb.